Hi, I'm Angified. I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy. Nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings,
And ourselves.
we stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds, let in the love,
and listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this trying world heroes among us and every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find the world. And when you find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a whole new world, a better place for our children's futures at stake. And you'll find with music in your soul, laughter in your hearts, together we can grow a better place with love in us all. And you will find together we can save it all. And you will find a place called home, where
From software to plugins and synths that entice, dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rap. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking IT. We're talking IT. Every Thursday night on Angified.
Bam. Just like that.
We're gonna have fun tonight. We got a full list of some interesting stuff that I know is right up your alley.
Oh yeah, I love some video games. That's for sure.
And what's going to be interesting about this, because we did have a game night earlier in the year, but it really was just more on like the PC side of gaming. Tonight we're going to be focusing more on consoles.
Nice.
But
nice.
Specifically a new console that feels like a gaming PC, which is why I kind of had to cover this, because the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of noise out there about Valve and Steam and how they are going to kind of like course correct where consoles are right now.
The Steam machine.
Yeah. I've been wondering, I've been asking for like the last year and a half, where consoles are going, between the current Xbox and the PlayStation 5 has, been a big success, really settled in. But what next? Like, seeing like where they're at and wondering where can they go with the next generation of consoles that they plan on coming out with. The PS6 sounds interesting, and we're going to take a little look at that. But Xbox was the one that I was starting to wonder, where do they go from where they were at? And I think Valve might have kind of made Microsoft like rethink and lit a fire under their ass. At this point, Microsoft's gonna have to rethink their console strategy a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I was all in on the consoles for many years. I mean, from PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. I did only have one Xbox over the years, and that was the 360. So that's when I jumped in on that side. But at that point, I had the Xbox and the PlayStation, and I was doing, a lot of both games as well as PC games. At this point, I haven't used the consoles in a while, and I've just been doing everything on the computer. But also, I have, we talked recently about doing a Raspberry Pi for like an arcade emulation machine, and I've done that as well. So I have, a small Raspberry Pi that has all the old consoles and things on it. So if I have that retro, want to go look at some retro games or whatever, I can just go hit that up for elevator action, for example. Like go hit that up.
Now you got the space to store it.
I do, because I just got myself a new drive. So I just got, upgraded my storage. I only had 1 terabyte in the machine when I got it, because I knew I was going to upgrade storage anyway. But it's a fast drive that was in there. So left it there and just went and got myself another 24 terabytes and dropped it in. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, what'd you say, about $250? That's
Yeah,
a sweet spot for us. You went from a tiny house to a massive mansion.
yeah. I was telling him I had the games that I had on the machine because I'd put probably 500 gigs worth of games. About half the drive was filled with games that I had been just testing out or ones that I wanted to try on the new hardware because it's got an RTX card, so it's got it's got the graphics capabilities to do what I need to. But the idea was to only put some games on there. Most of them I just tried out, and some of them I just installed but never even looked at. But taking that 500 gigs off of there, that's half of that drive is now 2% on my other drive. So it's like, okay, good. Now I've got
Well,
lots of space.
you're finally gonna really get to test that RTX card now.
Exactly. So now I can, like you were saying, I can just install, I can just go through my Steam library, go through my Epic Games library, and just like install everything that I want to. I already went through and favorited a bunch of things from one, like, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, that looks good. I remember hearing about that one, all that kind of stuff. One of the ones I also got recently was Crisis 3 is one that I'd played way back when as a testing the physics and testing the graphics hardware at the time, because that was one that was definitely cutting edge for the time when it came out. They remastered it now to take advantage of RTX cards, and I got to see what that looks like. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
grabbed I grabbed that.
There's been a couple of them over the last 6, 7 months that really are starting to utilize some of the new features with the RTX.
Yeah. And I see that when even just doing my NVIDIA updates, it tells you, hey, new features added for, and they specifically break out the games that individually and what things they modified or changed for it.
Yeah, I swear my NVIDIA updates at least once a week, if not even more frequent.
Yeah, and you can set it to do it automatically. You can set it to do it only when you ask it to. I mean, that's usually I do it. I always do those kinds of things when I ask it to, because I don't want things to change in an unpredictable way between if I'm doing raids or if I'm doing whatever. If I have specific video game things I want to do, I want to make sure that the machine is in the state that I left it in. Last time I looked at it. So I'll go do the updates when the time comes. Yeah,
the update frequency, it depends whether you're using the studio updates or the gaming updates, because this one I do the gaming updates, and that one, my music machine, I do the studio updates. Don't see as much on the studio as you do the gaming one. Anytime a new game comes out, they pretty much throw a new update up.
Yeah. And even just a new game is in testing, like that, somebody from the testing had, reported something. So they already fixed something that, could potentially be a problem before it even becomes a problem. I like that they do updates that often for that reason.
Yeah, although every once in a while the update is to fix the things that they last update
Yeah,
messed up.
they've gotten pretty good at doing updates so often, and having it all work out just fine. Like not a lot of total fail updates from NVIDIA that I've seen.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah,
much improved.
Good stuff.
Let's take a look and see what we got in the lineup.
Yeah. One thing I do like about console versus PC is that the console, it does give you that whole stock car racing kind of a thing where you know what hardware someone has. Like you don't have to guess, okay, what processor do you have? What memory do you have? Is everything compatible? Like, you don't have to worry about all the different variations of things that people could have, because they have the PlayStation, which is this, or they have, the Xbox, which is that. There's a very set hardware profile that they know about at that point. That's one of the things that's a big variable for PC gaming.
I fixed the title. Nice. The Shhh I.T cave needs to be named properly.
Because now we're there. You also have to turn around. Where is it, over there?
Yeah. Flip me.
There you are. Much better.
So it wasn't hard to actually find what I was looking for tonight. The trickier thing was actually like deciding which coverage for the things we're going to look at, because there are so many great channels when it comes to the gaming channels. And surprisingly, we don't have a lot of them in our YouTube yet, but I kind of borrowed a few of them from my YouTube to get over to here. So we got some freshy channels for sure tonight. Nice. Which means we'll be seeing more of this gaming news in our feed now.
All right.
But the important one, the reason why I went with this tonight was the last couple of weeks with Steam's announcements of some of the new equipment that they're rolling out. It's got the console market all in a tizzy. Everybody's talking about this Steam machine that they're rolling out. They still haven't announced exactly where the price point is going to be. So you've got like tons of channels all speculating and kind of telling Valve like make this like 4.99, 5.99, and I'm getting one.
Mhm.
Make it 9.99, and a lot of them are like,
Nope.
you're gonna have you're gonna have a tough time competing with a cheaper PlayStation 6, which I hope Valve is listening there. Obviously, given the specs that I've heard on what's going to be in the machine,
Mhm.
they do have to price it reasonably to at least make somewhat of a profit. I don't think that they're going to do like, Microsoft and Sony did in the past and take a loss to get the consoles out there. That would be a little unrealistic. But if they can keep it in the $700 range or lower, the fact that so many gaming channels are all excited about it and want to get their hands on it, that price point is going to be the thing that will bring mass adoption for them.
Yeah. And in a lot of cases, again, it is a game device. It's for the games. Like if you're a person who does PC stuff outside of the games, you might look at it and say, "Do I want to spend $1,000 on a game specific thing and also have a PC for things that I have to do, or just do it all on a PC?" That's kind of so the market that they're going for is the person who just wants that dedicated console.
Yeah, and considering what Steam brings to the console table, part of that market, I think they're trying to give some of those people who do want to have a Windows machine but don't necessarily want a Windows machine.
Right.
They want it for gaming. They just don't want to deal with the complexities of a simple Windows machine. You can run Windows on this thing, and I think that's going to be a big deal for some of the gamers. And the ones who like you tend to play PC games where you need a keyboard, the use of a mouse for certain games, that's a big deal. Whereas the console games tend to cater, to a different type of gamer.
Yeah,
I
I
think
always change keybinds in almost any game I do, just because I'll see how it's set up. But I mean, I have pretty big hands, so like the way things are set up a lot of times is too crunched. So like I'll spread things out, or change keybinds to just make it so that it makes sense for me.
yeah. Hopefully, if Valve gets this right, they'll offer the best of both worlds. The gamers who really want those PC style games, be able to use PC style controls, it'll be available to them. And the ones who want that console convenience, plug and play, ready to go, if they can balance that properly, it does open up a real competitor between the Xbox, PlayStation consoles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't even know what Nintendo is going to be like thinking at this point, but um, it's going to be interesting. 2026, when it comes to gaming, it is going to be changing a lot more than it has the last couple of years.
Yeah. And I mean, we're almost at the point where you could just go, ask an AI chatbot, "Hey, write me a game about this or that," and make your own custom game just on the fly. So, I mean, we're not far from that. But, at that point, again, that's not something that's studio and, massively online and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things that are, missing from that experience if you do it that way.
Well, the first thing we're going to look at is this announcement from Valve that they put out, last week, and it's going to show three different products that they're working on to get into this market. One of the focus is the controller itself, the Steam machine, which kind of takes that the other Steam, the portable one that they were pushing for the last couple of years. This is the next evolution of that. And they're getting into VR, which I think is really cool. This is a good company to compete with, Meta and the other VR companies out there.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at that announcement so we can get familiar with what they're planning to roll out. And then we're going to look a little bit at the other consoles and how they're dealing with this announcement. And Sam Time, I like this channel. He gives a funny kind of interpretation of, like, I bet you this is what happened at Microsoft when when they saw this announcement of this new competitor. And it's really funny and really relevant to what Microsoft's going to have to be thinking about as they get ready to roll out their next Xbox, which, from what I'm hearing, January 1st is their announcement.
Nice. Right around the
And
corner.
then another freshy channel for us, but he's not just a guitarist, he's also a gamer. And Colt Eastwood, he's going to get more into the comparison with the Xbox, the approach that they're going to be taking in the future, which is real interesting. I think Microsoft isn't just sitting on their laurels to deal with this. There might be a bunch of different Xbox or Xbox clones from what I'm gathering. Looks like they might be opening up the ecosystem to different hardware vendors. So if you see an Asus Xbox next year, don't be surprised.
There you go. Getting out from that stock car racing.
Yeah. And then TCMF Games Official can't ignore Sony in all of this. I still think right now Sony's in the best position as far as the consoles go, especially with some of the games that they have planned coming out next year. I've seen some previews of Wolverine that
nice.
Between Wolverine and Grand Theft Auto 6, like, PlayStation's still in great shape.
Sure.
Especially
again, it was my favorite for many years, PlayStation.
Yeah, if those games are exclusive over there, even for a little while, that can make a big difference.
Yeah.
And then after we look at those console comparisons, I started thinking about the technology behind the equipment, especially now that we're looking at like a console that is a PC in a console box.
Right.
And USB, I mean, you remember how confusing it was going from USB 1 to USB 2 to USB 3, and oh, what's the difference between the blue tongue and the black tongue and USB 1? And turns out, like, the latest USB generations going into 3 and USB-C, they're more complicated than I thought.
Sure.
And I assume that Thunderbolt and USB-C were pretty much the same thing because they use the same plug. They're not. And I think it's important to actually understand that, not just for the console side, because these new consoles in the future, chances are they're going to be taking advantage of these newer technologies, whether you're dealing with a Thunderbolt device or a USB C or USB 4, which is now out. I think it's going to be important for people to know what they actually have and pay attention to your cables, especially because even though you can plug them in, they got the same plugs, the cables don't have the same performance.
Yeah. I always loved the original USB, the fact that you would plug it in wrong twice. Like you plug it in and it doesn't fit, so you flip it over, You plug it in, it still doesn't fit. So you flip it over again. Now it fits. And it's
I,
like,
I
how did it not fit the first time?
I've actually had clients that I had to deal with broken USB ports because they're so damn stubborn that like make it fit, and they would break their USB ports trying to plug it in wrong.
Yep. Seen
Like,
it before.
there's a reason why it doesn't fit.
Yeah. It's trying to stop you.
Yeah. And then after the USB specs, we're going to take a look at Bluetooth 6, because at this point, it's out there. Devices are starting to get sold that are starting to support it, specifically headphones. They're trying to finally get a Bluetooth that, I don't know if musicians per se are necessarily gonna like accept the speed and the spec,
Mhm.
but people who audiophiles, the people who like to listen to music and want that wireless with Bluetooth headphones, this new or Bluetooth 6 might finally be at that point where you can hear true uncompressed audio that doesn't sound all mushy and has latency.
Mhm.
We'll see what Superstar Review does,
Right.
what it says.
Mhm.
And then to finish things off, I just installed the Wi-Fi 7 router last night.
Mhm.
We upgraded. It's got a mesh network, so I've got two satellites, can get 6,000 feet of coverage. So I can now go out to the barn and get an internet connection. Um, and I, right off the bat, as soon as I had it set up, I started doing speed tests
Mhm.
across different machines, wired, wireless, to see how this router is like improving our situation.
Mhm.
And my uploads especially
Yeah.
noticed a big difference, 4 or 5 times improvement over the speeds that I was getting before.
Yeah. And uploads where it's going to be key because that is where you're bottlenecked the most, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I do a lot of uploading between, like, pushing things to Restream or pushing things to YouTube.
Mhm.
It's the uploading side that I really needed the improvement. The downloads seem to be the same as they were before. With
Mhm.
our, we had the Wi-Fi 6 AX. It didn't really change the downloads too much, but significant difference on my uploads.
Sure.
Yeah, and this one's going to be coming from Ultimate Tech Hub, another freshie, a tech
Right.
channel. So, like, thank God we get to cover some of this tech. We get fresh channels.
Gotta love it. Get some good
A-
feeds in there.
And I did have two videos at first for the Wi-Fi 7. One that was specifically to explain, the specs of it.
Mhm.
But I chose this one instead because not only does he explain the same things that the other one did, but he does a good job of saying proceed with caution
Mhm.
with Wi-Fi 7, because there are some obstacles to overcome. So before you go running out and grabbing a $500 Wi-Fi 7 router,
Mhm.
you should take a look at this.
Yep. Nice. But
And
first,
nobody talks about it, but we will.
right. Good plan.
Yeah, but before we start talking about that, we do need to see what's up with this Steam hardware
Mhm.
and what their plans are. And this one's coming right from the horse's mouth at Valve.
Mhm.
Anybody out there who's already on Steam or planning to possibly check it out as this gear comes out, you got to go to at Valve on YouTube, because they're the ones who are going to show you what they're doing. Um, and valvesoftware.com. So
Right.
those would be like your first two places to go look to really get an idea of what this gear is going to be doing and how it's going to compete with your gaming PC or your Xbox or your PlayStation.
Right. Let's check it out.
I'm excited, Glenn.
Nice. This tea.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Hey, everyone. This is Steam Deck. Steam Deck is our powerful, portable, handheld gaming PC that lets you take your Steam library with you anywhere. We're pretty proud of it. People who own Steam Decks have been playing everywhere, and we couldn't be happier with the response we've heard from all of you. We're excited to talk about the future of Steam Deck, but not today, because this isn't a video about the future of Steam Deck. This is a video about the future of Steam hardware. Today, we're announcing 3 new members of the Steam hardware lineup. All connect you with powerful PC gaming. All are optimized for gaming with Steam, and all are shipping in early 2026. Let's start with this one. This is the new Steam controller. The new Steam controller puts all of your Steam games at your fingertips, so you can play wherever and however you want. Just like with Steam Deck, we want you to be able to play any game with your Steam controller, even games never built with a controller in mind. It has all the great features from Steam Deck, like trackpads, gyro, and back buttons, all in a comfortable form factor. Its next-generation magnetic thumbsticks let you play with improved responsiveness and longevity. We've put capacitive touch sensors on the thumbsticks and now on the back of the controller too, so you can enable precision gyro aiming with the touch of your thumb, or your pinky if you're feeling fancy. Play for way too long with a rechargeable lithium-ion battery that allows for over 35 hours of playtime. With Steam Controller, we want to make charging and wireless pairing something that's actually easy. That's why we created the Puck. The Puck is a combination wireless adapter and magnetic charger included with every Steam controller. Snap it on to charge. Once you're charged up, snap it off again. You can play over Bluetooth or a wired connection too. The new Steam controller works with any device running Steam or Steam Link, whether it's a PC, Mac, handheld, smartphone, Steam Deck, or the new Steam Machine. Oh, this is the new Steam Machine. Steam Machine is a powerful gaming PC in a small but mighty package, designed for your games on the big screen. It's quiet too, which is crazy since it's 6 times more powerful than a Steam Deck, powered by a discrete, semi-custom AMD GPU, enabling 4K gaming at 60 frames per second with FSR. Steam Machine runs SteamOS made for a bigger screen, built for gaming in your living room, your office, or wherever you play, with the rest of your PC accessories. Steam Machine borrows some great features from Steam Deck, like lightning-fast sleep and wake, an SD card slot to easily expand your storage, and brings some new tricks of its own, like a customizable LED strip, which can show different system functionalities, or your own light show. Steam Machine is a PC, so run whatever software you want, and it works with all your favorite desktop and gaming accessories. Steam Machine is designed to work hand-in-hand with the Steam controller, with the low-latency, wireless connectivity of the Steam controller Puck built right in. And it's great for streaming your games to your phone, tablet, laptop, Steam Deck, or Steam Frame. Oh, yep, this is Steam Frame. Steam Frame is Valve's next-generation VR hardware. Stream all your Steam games, VR and non-VR alike, in this comfortable, lightweight, wireless VR headset. Steam Frame uses camera-based tracking, so getting into your games is as easy as slipping on the headset and waking it up. Steam Frame controllers, included with the headset, are designed with all the inputs you need for your VR titles, like motion controls and capacitive tracking for all your fingers, as well as a split gamepad layout to work with your whole Steam library. They even feature the same magnetic thumbsticks as Steam Controller for responsiveness and longevity. Steam Frame also pairs seamlessly with the new Steam Controller, a great companion for playing non-VR games in the headset. To make sure streaming is smooth and stable no matter what, SteamFrame includes a wireless adapter that lets you stream your games from your PC to your headset over a fast and dedicated Wi-Fi 6 connection. And the game is streamed to your frame optimized for VR, using new technology that allows for the highest resolution streaming exactly where your eyes are looking. And SteamFrame is a PC, running SteamOS. In addition to streaming, you can install and play a bunch of VR and non-VR games right in the headset without a host PC. You can also expand your onboard storage to fit even more games with a microSD card. Steam Controller, Steam Machine, and SteamFrame. All built with the same DNA as Steam Deck. All powered by Steam, work together, and can be used however you'd like with whatever peripherals and accessories you choose. Everything you see here is the culmination of what we've learned from our previous hardware experience and what we've wanted ourselves as gamers. Powerful PC gaming in an open ecosystem, giving you more ways to enjoy the games you love and discover new ones. Steam Controller, Steam Machine, and SteamFrame are all shipping in early 2026. Learn more at steampowered.com/hardware.
I like their little soundtrack for that too.
Yeah. No, that was a good way to lay it out too.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of intuitive design that they're doing there. This is where like companies like what Valve's doing right now. It's good that they're really thinking it out. That magnetic puck approach.
Yeah.
These are the kind of smart design things that, based on what current consoles and current hardware do, and how can you improve on them.
Mhm.
Looks like Valve put a lot of thought into making a better mousetrap.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like it basically takes a lot of the things that we were talking about, the things that are important to PC gaming and putting them all into something that you can now make and say, hey, here's your PC part and here's the rest of it. And you can have the whole ecosystem all together and seamless.
Yeah, and the fact that it is a PC, so it can run Windows. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a lot of console players that really they're not going to care about that. That's not
Mhm.
going to be their appeal.
Right.
They went with consoles because of the convenience of it just works.
Mhm.
But the flexibility of being able to makes this a more powerful console in what you can do with it.
Right. No, it looks great for the hardware.
Yeah, the only other challenge that I see a lot of people talk about there is game availability.
Sure.
And that's part of the reason why some people go with the Xbox or the PlayStation exclusive games that you
Mhm.
can't play on any of the other consoles. That's always been Sony's
Mhm.
approach. And I understand why the console companies do that.
Mhm.
You got to have something that makes your console unique compared to
Right.
the others. But the game developers, I can't see how any of the game developers are happy um, making something with the attitude that it's only going to be exclusive to this, which means we're only going to sell this many copies because there's only this many people who have that console.
Right. You're automatically cutting down your market share at the start, from a PC game where it would just be anybody who has a PC. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Steam, the way that they do manage your games in your library, and the fact that you could be playing it on this new Steam machine, or you could be playing it on the old one, or you could be playing it on your computer, and it's the same games, it's the same library. it can travel between different devices, it's gonna convert more and more people to the like Steam ecosystem and the approach.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, if anything, your license management, which is a big deal nowadays with games, y- you don't want to have to buy another copy for a different device or any of that crap that you would have had to do if you tried to play the same game on an Xbox or a PlayStation or a PC. In the old days, you had to buy the game again and again, and nobody should have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to have a portable library.
Yeah, I think Valve is going in the right direction to kind of consolidate those hardcore console players
Mhm.
in a world where a lot of these complications like license management and I need to re-download the game because I'm moving to a different device. eh, This is going to make it easier.
Yeah, it does seem like it kind of moves the console world and the PC world closer together, even in a way.
Yeah, yeah, and at least manages it from a company that has shown that they're not trying to like dominate you, and they're not like dictating like some of the consoles have done.
Yeah, it's true. They've learned, and it sounds like they do, listen to what people ask for. So when it comes to the controllers and everything else, I'm sure a lot of research went into it, and it looks like it shows. I mean, it looks like they would be quite good at what they need to be doing.
Yeah, and it's very interesting to see them getting into the VR world. I'm really curious at what the price point's going to be on that. Plus, that controller.
Yeah.
That alone, the fact that like you can use that controller on a smartphone, I'd rather be playing with a controller like that than tapping on the phone screen.
For
Any
sure. Yeah. That was something that killed the game, like even something silly like Dragon's Lair, like you remember with the old laser disc game, right? To do the different actions, you need to do the controls. So you need to know to jump left, jump right, whatever. You try to play it on the iPad, for example, and you have to be able to click on the screen. So you have to be able to see on the screen where the controls are going to pop up and be able to click in that spot. It was just the control mechanism wasn't designed for it, but they've done a lot of work with a lot of games to make them more compatible with things like controllers and touchpads.
Yeah, and this controller really seems to be highly functional. The dual trackpads, smart approach there. Plus, I could control it with my pinky if I want to program it.
And even
Thank
the
you,
precision,
Valve.
the precision aim with the tilting a little bit there, like that's pretty cool too. Like being able to fine tune things using the body English, because you're gonna if you're trying to aim something and it's not quite right, you're gonna be turning that way anyway. So
Yeah,
you got to like turn that into the control mechanism.
the one thing I would say, just visually, it does look pretty big. I mean, it's no problem for you. You got giant hands, but kids, you might have to be this tall to go on this ride with this controller because it does seem to have a bigger build than some of the other ones.
True, but if you look at the Steam Deck, for example, that it's kind of it's the predecessor or the
Yeah.
The successor of it, it looks like that would be that is a lot larger because it's got the screen also in there. But as far as the bulk, I see what you're saying though. The controller itself just being a little bit more bulky.
Yeah. If you're talking like a 6-year-old, the seven, I mean, I'm sure they're doing some good product testing and
Right, exactly.
seeing having like a couple of different sizes, especially if with something like this, I can certainly see young and old jumping on the Steam machine. So being able to accommodate like the really young who are getting into gaming with the teenagers and above who are like, I'll play with any size controller.
Could even get around that with control schemes, like you were saying the touchpads. Like if you use the touchpads primarily, like they're down at the bottom of the controller, so it's the easiest area to access. So games that are specifically for younger kids, for example, might have might use those more.
Yeah, and having like USB ports to be able to plug additional controllers in doesn't hurt. So if you do actually need to get something a little smaller, you can at least.
There you go.
Yeah,
I like it.
very intuitive, Valve. Can't wait to see more. And given the reaction so far from the gamers out there on YouTube, it's looking good for them right now. There's a lot of people already pre-ordering, and they don't even know the final price yet. They're just like,
They said,
give me.
for me, I want mine.
Yeah, that's very promising.
Indeed.
So now that Microsoft has seen this announcement along with us, and what do you think the conversations going on with the developers over there? And like, okay, we've got to come out with a next gen console, and this thing is kind of competing with us on the Windows gaming side, even though the Xbox for the most part wasn't like for Windows games. It really was a dedicated console like the PlayStation. But where I think Microsoft is going to start going with it, they kind of want to make their own Windows gaming PC console where they get to control what's under the hood. Some of the news I've been hearing out there is that, like, they are opening up the system for computer hardware vendors to kind of start building their own Xboxes.
Right.
We'll be getting into that. But first, Sam Time, at Sam Time over on YouTube, is going to give us a kind of look at what the conversation that may have been going on as this announcement hit the ears of them at Microsoft. And if you enjoyed this one, you'll see he covers all of them and all the different gaming companies, the platforms. It got a great sense of humor, and really is thinking about what they're concerned with.
And what the conversation must have been like.
Yep.
Whoa, guys! Valve just released a new Steam machine that can run a bunch of the PC games and applications without installing Windows or Xbox. Come on, what did we do to Valve's CEO to deserve this? Well, except blue screen his whole award speech.
That's what I get for working at Microsoft.
Oh, we're in trouble. Oh, hi there. I'm Sam Tucker from the company that used to be the best at gaming, and now we're the best at laming.
Copilot is your everyday AI companion.
As you may have heard recently, that Valve have just announced their all-new Steam machine, the console computer that can play a bunch of PC games on Steam. But I have to say that Microsoft is not at all worried, because when it comes to PC games, people would rather play their games on Windows. Yeah! And of course, when it comes to consoles, if people want to play our iconic Xbox franchises, well then they can just go and play on PlayStation. God, who's making our decisions? Starting with the visuals, the new Steam machine looks a bit like a squished down Xbox Series X console. It's available in black, although you may have seen it in red, with wood paneling on the front, or heck, even an e-ink screen on there, giving you system details. And that's because it's going to have custom front plates, just like we used to do. Whereas now, if you want a slightly sparklier Xbox, it costs an extra $150. Geez, that's as much as an Apple sock. The Steam machine also has a light bar at the bottom that can show things like sleep status and download progress, which is another thing they stole from us. Except our Xbox didn't light up to show you features, it lit up to show you it's broken. And it told you that a lot. If you open up the Steam machine, you'll notice it takes standard RAM modules that you can upgrade yourself, and you can upgrade the SSD easy. as it's right there on the bottom. Whereas with our Xbox, you either gotta pull the entire thing apart or pull another $150 out your wallet to get the expansion card. Hey, if it's good enough for PlayStation 1, it's good enough for us. Looking at the controller, it seems as big as our Mighty Duke, but with more features. With 2 integrated touchpads, back buttons, and the joysticks have advanced TMR, or tunneling magnet testosterone, which gives it better accuracy and durability than usual. Plus, it has a rechargeable internal lithium-ion battery included, instead of our controllers that take AA's, or $25, whichever you choose. Whew, good lord, we don't sell the Xbox Series X, we sell the Xbox Series sold separately. But by far the scariest thing of all is that since its software SteamOS runs on Linux, the Cube can be used as a normal computer too, so people won't even need a Windows machine. And if Valve starts supporting SteamOS on other computers, then there goes our way of life. Copilot, what can we do?
Don't worry about it, I got you. Here's a design I made for a brand new Xbox.
Oh, wow. We fired everyone for this? The all-new Gabe Cube from Valve. You can play any game on it, except the one you want.
Subscribe today.
Well, we got Steam Machine 2 before GTA 6, and we'll get GTA 6 before Half-Life 3. Oh, what a world. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video, and make sure to subscribe and check out the other videos on the channel to have a good time, all the time, every day. Not every day, every other day or so. It's hard to make videos sometimes.
Oh, did you see some of those messages he had there at the
Yep.
And I didn't know what the Apple sock was until I saw this, and then I went and looked at that, and I can't believe that. Like, are you familiar with this Apple sock that came out?
No.
It's a $250 case for iPhones that is basically a sock.
Sure. I mean, I also never understood the need for having the newest phone every year and all that. Like, I use a phone until it breaks or gets lost and whatnot, or until it's like really, really embarrassingly old. Then it's like, okay, time to get another phone. But you know, I
Right.
stay on top of the phones now. But I don't need the newest, latest, and greatest every year. And it doesn't have to have sparkly features and all that. It's a phone. It's like the only thing and I don't even want to talk on the phone. That's the thing, is I don't use a phone like normal people. I want to text, I want to use it to record video, and I want to use it to get me places. That's it. That's
Yeah,
all I want.
I would put a case on my phone, but a sock is not a case. And I have plenty of socks. I
And how
can
protective could that sock really be, right? That's the question.
exactly. But he does make some good points about, like, everything that Microsoft has done, what they have as far as their Xbox, and seeing what these new offerings, they might have copied a little from the Microsoft side, but they definitely improved on it. And the controller, if I got what did he say? Techno-magno resistance. That's how they're
The
getting
magneto
that.
resistance. I'm not sure what the first part was, but yeah.
That's how they're getting that, like, super accurate shooting, huh?
Yep. And in the one case, they was talking about the tilt also. Like it was the gyro sensors that are in there.
Yeah, no more floating.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. I like his approach on how he looks at things. Sam Time is probably the only channel on the internet not smelling the fart of the big tech companies.
There you go.
So he is the king of roasting tech, and I'm glad we added this channel to our list because I like a little humor in my tech review.
Absolutely. Copilot, what do we do?
Yeah. It's the only thing I would use Copilot for. So now that we've seen the possible reaction from Microsoft, we're going to take a look at what their actual plans are going into next year. And Colt Eastwood, another freshie for us, who is a gamer and a guitarist. But his channel is focused on games. I see those guitars back there, Colt. So if you've got guitar videos in there, when we do our guitar night, I'm going to be looking in here. And this is at Colt Eastwood on YouTube. And this is a game changer. Next Xbox OEM console PC hybrids. And how that compares with the Steam machine and the Xbox next generation. So it's possible your next Xbox might not necessarily be coming from Microsoft, which may or may not be a good thing or a bad thing, and only time will tell.
The next generation of hardware is kicking off, and it will change the traditional model of consoles, remove closed ecosystems for buying games, and offer a premier gaming experience in the living room. Microsoft and Xbox are playing a major part of a new paradigm shift in PC gaming, and it all starts in 2026. This is Colt Eastwood. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the OEM console PC hybrids and Valve making a new Steam machine and what that means for Xbox and PlayStation customers. If you end up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content, and let's talk about OEM console hybrid PCs in 2026. Valve just announced the upcoming Steam machine, a console-like PC hybrid that will usher in the next generation of gaming in the living room. But before we break down the specs and marketing of the Steam machine, we're here to talk about Xbox and Microsoft's push to the living room that starts in 2026. Insiders are reporting that Microsoft has partnered with multiple OEM hardware companies to develop their own Steam machines with Windows 11 support to uphold the Xbox gaming ecosystem. One of the first Xbox-backed OEM consoles to come out next year is reportedly ASUS with their ROG Republic of Gamers PC console device, a companion piece to the ROG Xbox Ally. This will be a PC console form function built on next generation specs to bring high-end gaming to your TV on your controller in the living room. The Xbox integration will be behind the Xbox full screen experience, a next generation dashboard currently available on the Xbox Ally handheld, but translated to your PC and TV, giving you access to the Xbox PC ecosystem and multiple storefronts. With the announcement of the Valve Steam machine, competitors have their work cut out for them. Companies like Razer, Lenovo, ASUS, and Corsair will likely be making their own console-like machines that will have to be price and performance competitive. But they will likely not be directly competing with Microsoft, but integrating Xbox and Microsoft with their storefront and a unified platform to launch all of your PC games. The Xbox full screen experience dashboard offers a controller-friendly UI with access to multiple PC platform game titles, PC Game Pass, and cloud gaming. You can consolidate your entire library across EA, Ubisoft, GOG, and Steam. This is one of the most important steps from the corner desk computer in the family room to place your gaming setup next to your TV, connected to a controller and having access to all of your games, without going to a mouse and keyboard to open up multiple applications. The future of gaming is definitely breaking down the walled garden of restricted consoles, and this brings in PlayStation to PC and Xbox. PlayStation is pushing their own ecosystem directly to PC. The latest leaks from Sony PlayStation showcase an integration to PC gaming, even allowing cross-entitlement of your games you bought on the PS5 being directly accessed without an additional purchase with all of your progression. This is essentially PlayStation Play Anywhere, a concept that Xbox has been doing for almost 10 years. This also means that PlayStation might be bringing their games to PC much sooner, rather than waiting a year to capitalize on an ever-expanding market that plays in more places than one. PlayStation has to do this because currently, most all of their tentpole popular PlayStation titles, former exclusives, some 50 PlayStation games are available on Steam, and will be playable on any device that supports the Steam operating system or Windows, which means they'll be coming to the Xbox platform very soon. PlayStation is looking into the future with a more multi-platform approach, according to their leadership, knowing that they can still sell the upcoming PlayStation 6 while selling their games to Steam and Xbox customers across a PC console hybrid. But will these new OEM console hybrids that are set to come out in 2026 give you access to your entire Xbox console library? No. Reaching out to insiders close to the Xbox software and hardware plan, it looks like the first wave of OEM consoles in 2026 will not have the AMD Xbox partnered chiplet. This means that the Xbox console architecture that allows licensed Xbox console version of games to be playable on multiple devices will not be ready in 2026, but will launch the following year for Xbox's own console in 2027 and future OEMs to come out after 2026. With an OEM console PC hybrid at the end of 2026, people are looking to play Grand Theft Auto 6 at its highest fidelity. They may be sorely disappointed because as of now, Rockstar has only announced Grand Theft Auto 6 for the Xbox Series consoles and PS5 consoles, meaning since this is a PC, the OEM console hybrids will not have access to console games just yet. But what about the brand new Steam machine? Valve just announced a shorter version of an Xbox Series X, a PC console hybrid with customizable LED lights, detachable faceplates, and a small form factor paired with a new Steam controller. Valve has not discussed the price point of the models yet, but the hardware specs have already disappointed tech experts like Digital Foundry. The Steam machine is built off of the AMD Zen 4 with a 6-core CPU, which puts it slightly under the current PS5 and Xbox Series X. With newer architecture and slightly higher frequency and clock speeds, compared to the 8-core current-gen consoles, the Steam machine CPU is more than capable of playing high frame rate current-gen games, but the GPU has experts more concerned with a slight upgrade, and hardware tests are pointing toward 1080p or 1440p 60 gaming across demanding current-gen games, and concerns that the Steam machine in 2026 will not keep up with next-generation games and will see new users downgrading PC settings across multiple titles. It is very likely that the Steam machine is price point to set around $600 to $700 US, which sadly is in line with the current price hiked consoles in 2025. One of the often repeated questions when looking at the OEM console PC hybrids is, why would you buy a closed box when you can build your own PC? The allure of bringing your gaming experience to the couch and big screen TV is not something new, and PC gamers have been doing this for over a decade. But manufacturers and platforms are seeing a shift in how people play their video games. The advent of gaming handhelds has proved that there is a large chunk of the market that wants to play away from the desktop PC, and even with a pared down form factor gaming device, it's even more exciting as it offers more power plugged directly to your TV. And enthusiasts will continue to spend $1,000 to $2,000 on top-end PC gaming hardware, but there's a brand new market of console players that are adding a new device to their gaming setup and expanding their library to a near infinite selection across PC. But in an ever-changing market that is now starting to adopt cross-platform, cross-entitlement, the work is just beginning to expand gamers beyond one closed piece of console plastic. The Valve Steam machine, if priced right, will be a great introduction into this new gaming model and market. And with Xbox and PlayStation backing their games across multiple devices, the future of exclusivity is dissolving, and game franchises and gamers will all benefit from it. This is Colt Eastwood. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, you're just getting all of the information about what's going on in the coming year or two for Xbox and PC, and so many changes for the PlayStation brand. And if you've been around a while, you've probably seen a couple of repeat subjects about the OEM consoles and next generation. A lot is changing and fluid, as a lot of this hasn't been fully verified, or rumors and leaks are going crazy as this generation winds down and we get ready to get into next generation. If you ended up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new weekly content. If you want to further support what we're doing here on the Colt Eastwood channel, hitting the join button below will get you early access for videos 12 to 10 hours before they go up the next day. Also get you into monthly merch giveaways and so much more in the Xbox Party Discord, where we'll talk about gaming and just play games together. Also, check out the Patreon if you want to learn how to do some of this yourself. You can learn how to do graphic design, video production, live streaming, lighting, editing, and so much more. I've got 20 years of experience of doing all that if you'd like to learn how to get all this stuff done one-on-one with me on those super classes. Also, check out the Excellency Podcast. That's a weekly podcast we do every Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we'll talk about all the gaming news and break down what's going on and get into more depth discussion about what's going on with the OEM consoles. Let me know what you think about this. Are you going to get the Steam machine? Are you going to wait for an OEM console from one of your favorite manufacturers? Or are you just going to wait to see what Xbox and PlayStation do next generation? Let me know in the comment section. And while you do that, as I always say, please be nice.
Oh, be nice, Glenn.
I always try to be nice. It is my motto.
Now, what do you think of this OEM approach that Microsoft's going towards?
It's a good question. The thing is, it all really does come down to how it all works out. And when you sit down and actually spec out the different machines and see how the performance is, the idea of having, like you were saying, the Xboxes not being all the same chip, or you having flexibility in how they actually build the box, that is essentially like just making it no longer an Xbox. Now it's more just a PC with certain constraints on the parts that you can use.
Well, and it
That's the
looks
way it
like
comes down.
Microsoft's trying to utilize that the XPass and the library approach, which that's Steam's appeal as well. They're looking for a way to take that valuable library that people might have or that they might subscribe to get into different devices. But that licensing chip that he was talking about there, and the fact that they're going to wait till 2027 when they pull out their next Xbox, I don't think that's a smart move on their part. They may lose some momentum waiting till then, and I mean, granted, they're going to see how the dust settles in 2026
Right.
with Steam and PlayStation. But if a lot of those older Xbox games that people want to port over to these new consoles can't get played simply because of stupid licensing that's embedded in their approach with their chipsets, that's always been one of the things about the Xbox. Microsoft is trying too hard at the license management um, dictatorship. You know, that's what I was talking about when, you know, companies try to be dictators of your game license to the hardware level. Um, I don't think that's a selling point to the people buying the consoles and the games.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is it is more self-preservation on the company side, but not all companies do that. So, there is that.
Yep. Well, when you have one company who's doing it and other consoles and companies who aren't, in the end, it's the consumer who ends up making the decision on which is better. And there has always been problems with when it comes to Xboxes and identifying authentic. You can't even buy certain headphones or controllers unless you get an Xbox specific one. My SteelSeries headphone,
Yep.
they have a proprietary Xbox version of it, because when you go plugging USB devices into it, it needs to be able to identify itself as an official Xbox device. And
Yep.
I'm not sure if that's smart thinking for selling to the consumers. The consumers certainly aren't asking for that kind of thing. I would love to be able to use the same headphones that I use on my PC on my console and vice versa.
Yeah, and it does seem like the move, or the momentum is towards getting things more open, more shareable, more. I want to access my content on my devices, whatever they are. When we get there, if we can, because that's what it looked like we were starting to move towards. Be able to just bring up one device or one controller, go onto your screen, and just say, okay, I want to look at my Steam library, I want to look at my Epic Games library, I want to look at this other library. Like, you can look through all your stuff. If everything could come to one place, that would be great. And if we can get the hardware to be able to do that, that's good. The licensing chip thing, I've never been a fan of that whole side of things, but I do understand what, anti-piracy and all of that. So I get it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, some companies do take it too far.
Sony in the like beginning of the PlayStation would purposely damage the disc in a certain way so that like you can't just make a copy of that disc and throw it in, and people had to, learn the loopholes and I think just like you've seen with music, with movies nowadays, if the subscription approach and the price point is reasonable, people don't necessarily want to pirate. They just don't want to be overcharged and ripped off in some cases with overpriced options. I- Smart companies, these libraries and things like that, keep a reasonable price point. $10, $20 a month for a gaming subscription like the X Pass works.
Mhm. Sure.
I know several who are happy to pay that every month.
Because they have the access. Yeah.
Yeah, and Steam's kind of in a win-win situation here because if these OEMs, if the purpose of them, at least from Microsoft's perspective, is we're going to incorporate those Steam libraries into our Xbox OEMs, I mean, Steam's going to have a presence even on the Xbox side at that point.
Yeah, expands theirs. Yeah.
Yeah. So this next year really is going to be I think it's going to be one of the most important years in gaming, going back to when the original Xbox and the original PlayStation, when all of that was happening. And they might sit on this approach for the next decade or so.
Yep. And as I was saying, like, I did the PlayStation from, 1, 2, 3, 4, but in 3, at PlayStation 3 level, I think it was the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 together. I then went to the PlayStation 4, but I never got the PlayStation 5 or the newer generation. I just stuck to straight to PC games at that point.
Well, and a lot of people say that 3 and the 360, these were the sweet spots in like libraries, quality of the games, value. Not
And it was
everybody.
worth having both because of the two ecosystems where, like they were saying, they had the content that is only over here and other content only over here. And there were certain things on both sides I didn't want to be without. So yeah.
For those who are okay with paying $500-$600 for a console back then, would have bought an Xbox and a PlayStation 3.
And actually, back then, the price points would have been a lot lower because they had not come up that much yet at that point. Still, like back at the PlayStation 3, I mean, I don't remember right offhand, but I want to say it was more in the $200 to $300 range, or maybe the $300 to $400 at that point. But it had not gotten yet up to the really expensive points.
Yeah,
where I would say.
Yeah, the hardware specs he mentioned with the Steam machine, that is one thing I am seeing a lot of the ones who are excited about the concept of the Steam machine are a little nervous as to some of these specs because
Future
true,
proofing. Yeah.
I mean, I've already got better hardware than the Steam machine, but what it does bring to the table, integrating with the controller, the headset, um, there's still some interesting appeal to what that's going to do altogether for them.
Yep. Nice.
And it's possible that Valve's like mentality there is we can always add more souped up versions of the Steam machine. It's just like expanding your hard drive, or something that, like, if you didn't necessarily get the hardware that you needed at the time, but you got enough of the computer that you needed to get going, you can add more and upgrade it.
I mean, yeah, they had to come to that balance point where they wanted to put as much, do as much future proofing as they can as far as the level of hardware that you're putting in there. But you also need to keep the price point low enough where you're not making it a, $1,000, $2,000 machine where you're going to price people out of being able to buy it.
If there is at least some room to grow with the Steam machine, that'll be good for them. There will be people who want to upgrade the RAM, or
Yeah.
hey, if we can switch out the CPU, or that's the kind of thing that will give it a little bit of future proof. Like, you shouldn't have to be buying a new console every couple of years.
Yeah, that was my point too. As far as like with computer hardware, like I'll do upgrades every couple of years. I don't mind that. Like upgrade a video card now and then, new storage, sure, things like
I
that.
know,
But
I've seen you do
you've
it.
seen it. I did it yesterday.
And for good reason.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is that is, now that is available, that is space for my library. So I can just go through and say, hey, here are all these, Steam titles. Here's all these Epic Games titles, all these different things that I would love to have just be able to just launch on a moment's notice that are in my library, but I never downloaded and installed because I didn't have the space. But now I could just load it all up. But when I do that, I find myself, I always, same thing happened when I did the Raspberry Pi and the arcade machine stuff. It's like I did the retro arcade machine, and I had, thousands of titles on there, and it's so many that it's overwhelming almost. Like you go in, you find like one or two, and you play those, and you play them a bunch, and then it's like, okay, I'm good now.
Well, and one interesting aspect to the Steam OS and the Steam approach, they do have some pretty good emulators in there, so you can get some of your retro gaming on through that approach. And I think that's going to be another appeal, is like, oh, it also comes with that. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people aren't looking to play the latest greatest. They want to have it all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good titles out there that were just good games as a game concept, that, whether it's Tetris or, there's a lot of silly games out there. I mean, not that Burger Time's anything special, but it's something as something completely different as far as like a concept goes.
I've been actually playing Time Pilot with my game
Time
stick.
Time Pilot is one of my favorites. That is, whether it's Time Pilot or 1942, there's a couple different, or 1941, there's a couple different games that will get you that same control scheme, and I love that one. Time Pilot was always one of my favorites.
Yeah. Oh, and Sinistar. Oh man. Nice. And it actually is just like the arcade version, the stand up, and
nice. It's
so cool to be able to actually play that without having to pump quarters in.
Exactly. And that's where even what was it, like the X-Men one, that was a real quarter eater, or Gauntlet. Like those were ones that were just monster quarter eaters. But being able to just go like button number 5, like 5, and like dumping quarters in like a madman, no problem.
Well, and in some cases, like being able to use a controller where you can program it to auto shoot, because in the original game you had to keep pounding on the button.
Exactly. And that's where it's like, I have one of these controllers where I just go click and so much better.
Yeah, rapid fire.
Yeah. But not for all games. Some games you do have to have, you do have to take your time with the shots. There were certain games even where the rapid fire wasn't the best idea, where elevator action was one of them, where if if you're auto firing, you'll send out a lobby of 3, you send out 3 bullets, but then there's nothing behind it. So if you just take your time, you go 1, 1, 1. Now you can cover.
Don't waste your bullets.
Exactly. Yeah, time it out.
So at Colt Eastwood, awesome addition to our channel. We're gonna have some gaming feeds coming in. I can tell.
Nice. And it seems like it's the year for it, right? I mean, especially with all this coming around the corner.
Yeah, well, we got a couple of them in there when we had that retro night, and covering the like Windows games, but now these channels really do have nice diversity. The consoles.
Yeah, nice,
But love that info, Colt.
good stuff.
Yeah, and now we've got to see what's up with Sony, especially this PlayStation 6, where I haven't heard a lot on that. Sony, I think, is still very comfortable and happy with the 5 right now. It is still going strong. There's some games coming out next year for it that are going to keep it alive for, I think, years to come.
Nice.
The ones who go jumping on the next generation PlayStation, they're usually the hardcore ones. They're the ones that want that special, distinct one game that you can't play anywhere else.
Yep, exactly. And that's the one where they'll have the PlayStation, themed with that game as well, for the extra, so that it looks like the game and all that, the controllers and all that.
Although it was interesting to hear that like Sony is now trying to get a lot of those exclusives over into the libraries of PC gamers, and good that they're not ignoring that. But I do understand why they want to have at least a couple of exclusives. You want something to make your console special.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's been that way all along anyway. Certain titles that just, picked their side and said, okay, we're going to be an Xbox title or we're going to be a PlayStation title.
In the case of the Sony players that I know, like my brother at one point, he was kind of hardcore on the Sony side. They like the controller.
Exactly.
They like the way Sony does it better than, to me, the Xbox approach in the old days seemed backwards. It's like going from a Windows to a Mac, and why are the buttons over here?
And I get that they probably had to, do the thumbsticks the way they did because it would be a copyright violation if they didn't, because it's too similar. Then I get that. I did see something that was interesting where it was the D-pad and the other thumbstick were reversible, so that you could make the one controller either the Xbox style where they're offset like that, or the PlayStation style where they're symmetrical.
Yeah,
I was like, that's a good idea.
I've actually seen a couple of controllers that are modular, and you can actually pull out the different parts.
That's what that was. Yeah.
Yeah, you can basically customize whatever you want, wherever you want.
Because you might be used to, like when I was playing the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 at that generation, it was the two different controllers. So you did have to go back and forth if you're playing this title here and this title there. But you get used to playing this game this way and that game that way. And when and if you tried it on the other controller, it would feel awkward because it's not in the right place.
And that's another thing where if you're doing the retro gaming, where like, I mean, ideally, I'd have every controller that ever existed in like one box. And if I am playing Marble Madness, I got a wheel. And if I am playing Time Pilot, I got a joystick and 2 buttons.
Yeah. Well, you do have, the mouse that you use is a good one for Marble Madness in the first place. Like we have a head start over most people.
Yeah, but it's not the same with
No.
my thumb as it was with the big ball, and it really doesn't give me the same enjoyment as the original controller. And same with same paddles. Like, I wish I could get my hands on like an old school Atari paddle that feels like the old school Atari paddle, but plugs in USB, and I want to play Arachnoid.
Well, that's the thing is, for me, it would be things like the X Arcade controller. We looked at that at one point where it's very solidly built. It's like built out of arcade machine level hardware, and that had the ball for whether it's track and field or Marble Madness, but also
the Max,
the Tempest wheel is the one that I want.
The X Arcade Max, the big dog. It's like $500, but it's got everything between the Tempest wheel, which is weighted and does full 360. It's got a ball for each player. Both sides have all the controls that you would need. Plus, it has flippers in the back if you really want to get the pinball feel.
Yeah, and it is about that size too. So yeah,
it feels like you're sitting in front of a pinball machine.
Solid.
So, for this one, we're going to be going to at TCMF Games Official. And this is another one covering video game news and bananas. All right. I like bananas.
Delicious.
And I do see a lot of Sony coverage here. So I think Sony is his like main go-to. And for this video, we're going to look at Sony's perspective on this Steam approach and what they've got lined up that is going to be competing with this kind of market. Yeah, the PlayStation 5 and exciting new PS6 versus Steam machine prices. New Sony teases a big reveal for T.
Let's check it out.
We're going to get a big reveal.
So exciting PlayStation 6 versus new Steam machine pricing comparison, and Sony teases a big reveal for the future of PlayStation 5. Those are the stories we're going to cover today, and if you could hit that like button on the video, thank you to those that do it, and as always, it's very much appreciated. First, yes or no, do you game on PC at all or not? We're going to be talking about what Valve is doing and what that means maybe potentially for what Sony is doing with the PlayStation 6 today, but do any of you game on PC? So comment below yes or no if you game on PC or not. Let me know down in the comments below. Now, diving into the first story of the video, Sony teases a big reveal for the future of the PlayStation 5. Reading from Gaming Vault, following up on recent statements by Sony CFO Lin Tao that the company is only in the middle of the journey when it comes to the current console generation, PlayStation Senior Vice President of Marketing, Sales, and Business Operation, Eric Lempel, has similarly noted that the PlayStation 5 still has plenty more to offer. In an interview with BBC News, Lempel said that there is still a lot of great content and that Sony is just going to continue with PlayStation 5. When it comes to what exactly the PS5 has left to offer, Lempel was quite coy, noting that we're really hitting our stride now. He also said that there is a game that will come out and ultimately become the biggest selling release on the console. When it comes to specifics, he said, I'm not going to tell you which one, but I think it's still to come. While Lempel wasn't willing to go into specifics, he was likely referring to either Marvel's Wolverine, which is slated for launch in fall 2026, or Rockstar Games' upcoming opus Grand Theft Auto 6. So this pretty much reiterates what's been said before in that the PlayStation 5 will have an extended support cycle. If you want to hold on to your PlayStation 5, you're going to be able to for some time. As for the huge game that will be their biggest selling title, I was confused by this a bit because is he referring to a title that PlayStation is going to release or a title in general that's going to release on PlayStation 5 that's going to be the biggest selling title on the console? Because I think that's pretty obviously Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, if they're referring to titles that PlayStation releases, Wolverine makes a lot of sense considering Spider-Man 2 is currently the second best-selling game on the PlayStation 5 this generation outside of Call of Duty. The other possibilities include Intergalactic or Cory Barlog's next game. If Cory Barlog's next game, for example, is God of War reinvented like how they did God of War 2018, that would be amazing and for sure become a huge seller for Sony. Another possibility could be something further down the line like Spider-Man 3 and potentially 2028. Since Spider-Man 2 was the second best-selling title this generation on the console, maybe Spider-Man 3 could top that. Either way, it's exciting to hear that there are even bigger titles in the pipeline. And if you're enjoying the video so far, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community on our way to 150,000 subscribers. Now diving into the second story of the video, PlayStation 6 versus Steam machine pricing and the new potential console war. So a very interesting debate has been going on recently about what Valve's new Steam machine could mean for console gaming. I'm happy to see this conversation happen because we need that competition as consumers, as I've stated before. That's why I don't like personally how Xbox is going, but putting that to the side, now do I see Valve's box really competing with PlayStation? I don't think so, but I'm not going to throw it under the bus just yet. Valve is set to release an RDNA 3 Zen 4 PC console that, from my understanding, is going to be around the capability of a base PlayStation 5. I first wondered why you would release something like this. Why would this be the case, considering next generation is seemingly around the corner? But then I realized that Sony expects to support the PlayStation 5 for potentially another 5 years, so into 2030 or 2031. So if Valve releases this thing in 2026, it still has about 4 to 5 years before games start to leave it behind, which by that time I'd assume they'll release another box if this one succeeds, and we'll talk about that success in a sec. As for what other value this box has, of course, the obvious one, it's a Steam PC console, meaning it'll play your Steam games, which is, of course, a lot of games. And for someone like me, I've wanted a way to enter the PC space, as I've mentioned before, to play those indie titles that take a while to come to consoles. So I've been tempted to get something like a Steam Deck, for example, or Microsoft's next console, since it's going to be a PC console hybrid. And honestly, I don't know if I need the power of Microsoft's next console for the games I'm looking to play on PC, unless of course Sony releases their console after Microsoft. Then yeah, I'll get it to play those third-party titles at the best performance / visual levels. But if you're looking at pricing, Microsoft is intending to price their console at a potentially high premium price, over $1,000. So it's going to be very interesting and probably more sensible for people to get this potential Steam box. And this is where we're going to be talking about price. Looking back at the Steam box, price is key here for success. I've seen people throw around high numbers like $700, $800, which at that point, considering the specs that we have here, this thing is just competing with PC boxes, I guess. But what if it's priced right? Moore's Law is Dead recently took the time to break down the numbers, and he potentially puts the price of the Steam box, Steam machine, somewhere between $449 to $599. If they price their console at $449, I'll pick that up at that price day one. That's a solid price. But fast forward to 2027, and Sony's about to launch their new console that's much more powerful with Zen 6 and RDNA 6 tech under the hood. Moore's Law is Dead puts the price of the PlayStation 6 potentially somewhere between $549 to $699. Now, this leaves the Steam box in a cheaper position, but if you as a gamer want a strong console, you're going to buy the PlayStation 6, considering how close the pricing is. Of course, there's also the possibility of Valve reducing the price in 2027, or sales happening to reduce the price further, and this is where things get interesting for the console space, and of course, that's competition. I really hope Valve prices the Steam box well and people are interested and go out and buy this thing, or obviously order it online. But of course, let's see how this goes. But you guys let me know if you're buying this Steam machine or not. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. As always, helps and subscribe if you're new. I got new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is the part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is to body, obliterate, destroy, and overall harass the comment section with the new console battle. This is obviously in reference to the Steam machine entering the arena against, Nintendo, PlayStation, and hopefully still Xbox in the near future when they decide to release their new box. And that's going to be really interesting, considering Steam is doing exactly what Xbox wants to do with what I'm hearing in the PC space, a better OS, better than what Windows has right now. But maybe in 2027, that's that Windows gaming UI that they decide to release is probably something, or hopefully something really good, and that elevates the competition in the space. We want all of these guys to succeed, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this competes in the space. But the first thing is going to be that price. I really hope they price it well. So if you're excited for the future of the console battle now that Valve is re-entering the arena, destroy the comment section with the new console battle, and I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do, because I appreciate everybody who stays to the end of my videos. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one.
Oh, He brings up a good point that over the next couple of years, given the hardware that they're rolling out, starting out with the Steam machine, it is going to get cheaper, which means that like if it does start out at 449, like he said, yeah, a lot of them, a lot of gamers right now would probably grab it day one.
Sure. And $5.99, a few less would grab it, but it wouldn't be that many less, whereas if they price it at 1,000, that's a whole different story. Yeah.
And if you're talking going into 27 and 28, and as Sony starts to roll out the PS6, if the Steam machine at that spec starts to drop like another 150, given, how it hardware deprecates, you could have a real battle going on between those who, want to be cost efficient and don't want to pay a lot for this muffler.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, when are you going to jump in? Is it a PC and a console, or is it just one or the other? And that's where they're at a point where you can kind of make a choice. Do I need a PC, or do I get a console that can be a PC?
Yeah. But I do agree with him that given that Sony is planning on supporting the PS5 for at least a good chunk, another 4-5 years, they're not in any real danger. And as far as which game he was talking about for next year, if I had to put all my chips on it, Grand Theft Auto, to me, that does make sense. But if it is an actual exclusive Sony release, that Wolverine looks as cool as Spider-Man 2 did, and damn, that makes me want a PlayStation if that's the only place I can play it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing with the exclusive titles that, and I don't remember if do you remember if Batman Arkham Asylum back then, if that was exclusive on one or the other? I remember I had it. I don't remember
Arkham
which.
2, I want to say Arkham
It might have
2
been.
might have been the one that really made a lot of noise when it came out.
And that's the thing is, when it was exclusive titles back then, that's why I wanted both consoles so that I would have, I had it covered. I've got a PC, I've got this console, I've got that console. If anything comes out, I'm all over it. So,
and the games that do feature a really popular character, like Wolverine is as popular as Spider-Man, if in some cases possibly more at times, depending on whether Deadpool and Wolverine just came out or the next Spider-Man movie. There's so many fans of that content and that character that some of them will buy a console just because of that one thing.
Sure.
Plus, Sony's hardware doesn't suck. It never has. Like every one of their consoles always felt cutting edge, felt like you had a good 5 years or longer with it, as long as the titles keep coming out. And if Sony's like assuring their customers that we're going to keep making games for this for years to come, that makes them more comfortable when they're buying their first console.
Yeah. And if you have a game that has replay value, like something like a Star Wars Battlefront, for example, where you could just, just run in over and over, you just jump right in and do stuff or whatever. Something like that is a good type of a game for, being able to just jump right into.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you buy a PlayStation 4 now just because you can get it cheap?
That's the question is I have a PlayStation 4. I don't have a 5 or a 6. So at this point, I would probably wait for a 6 if I was going to do something like that, but I probably wouldn't jump in on a 5 just yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And that his mentioning of the PlayStation 6 possibly being targeted in the like 550 range or higher does put it in the pricey side of a console. Just like I don't want to pay $300+ for a phone, I don't want to pay almost $600 for a console.
Right. And again, we, being people who already have a PC that's already quite capable and has, gaming, all over it, the console is a whole separate question for us because we already have a gaming rig set up, so it's not going from zero to a console. It's going from, we can already play everything that we need to. It's just about the libraries and the walled gardens
Yeah.
like they talked about.
Yeah. One thing I hadn't thought about, with cloud gaming, kind of really taking off now, especially now that Amazon has their offerings, and you can play on a souped up PC even if you don't have one, with a $20 a month subscription to play it through the cloud. What do you think the possibility that you might start seeing cloud console gaming where you don't have to buy that PlayStation 6? You could pay $20 a month and have a virtual one, and technically you've paid it off after subscribing a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that they could do because we talked about that at one point with the having a gaming machine just sitting somewhere on the internet that you can just attach to it, because all you need from your house is your keyboard or controller and your
You
video.
need some kick-ass internet. When it
Yes.
comes to the cloud gaming, you can't be doing it on you better have a cable modem, and you better have great ping times, because you're controlling a machine off in the internet, and you don't want to be the one getting shot because your latency's too high.
And we've tried music across the internet, and we know, latency it's music is one of those things that's very specific about that. Like if I'm trying to play guitar and you're trying to play keyboard and we're trying to play together, the amount of latency only has to be a tiny bit in order to throw everything off.
If I'm trying to shoot people virtually through the internet, that's as important as that key playing a sound exactly when I hit it, not a split second later.
Nope, timing is everything.
Yep. Great info on the Sony side there. We've gotten a chance to kind of see it from different perspectives. I like that he wasn't standoffish on the Steam. It's not like he's like so hardcore on Sony that like he's gonna say, "Oh no, Steam's never gonna make it. That's a stupid idea." He's kind of seeing it from the perspective of which audience that's for, and where he'll still be playing on a Sony because he's got one.
Yep, exactly. And that's what it comes down to a lot of times.
Yep. At TCMF Games Official. So we will be. I didn't see any bananas though.
No bananas. Next time.
Yes, our next game night, I better see bananas.
Banana phone.
Although that Wolverine game looked bananas.
It did. That does look good. And the Spider-Man looked good too. I hadn't seen that yet either.
Well, Spider-Man 3 probably will outsell Spider-Man 2. And if 2 was the second best selling, that could become the top, especially if they time it right with the Spider-Man movies. That's a big key there with Sony.
To me, the movie or games like the Spider-Man or a Batman movie or game, that sort of thing, it all comes down to the controls and how well the controls relate and how comfortable they feel and how the character moves. Like, does Batman move like Batman when you're controlling it with the controller? Does Spider-Man, do the swinging and the, and the leaping and all that stuff? And is it easy to control and make it work? So that's what it comes down to usually.
Yes, your controller better be able to snickety if it's gonna Wolverine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got to get that sound effect.
Yeah. And
controllers.
If you want like super fast controllers, you're going to need fast input and ports, and just like latency can affect things on the internet. What you plug into and the technology that you're utilizing there, we're still living in a USB world. Granted, a lot of these consoles and a lot of gamers, they've happily gone to wireless, and we're going to look at that as well. But before we do, I wanted to clear up where we are with USB, because I thought I knew, and it turns out I'm as clueless as everybody else as to what's been going on going from USB 3 to USB-C to Lightning port, Thunderbolt. I almost feel like we're back in the days when FireWire gave us an alternative, and you saw these generations like rapidly coming out, and it started to get confusing as to like what is the benefits of going from here to here, in the case of like Gen 1 versus Gen 2 on USB 3. You doubled the pipe, and a lot of people don't think about that when they're buying their hardware. And a lot of this is like secondary thought to them. But if you are buying, say, a new laptop or a computer right now, you really want to know where it stands on these kinds of ports, because you're going to be kind of locked in, especially on a laptop. You're locked into that technology, and this is where saving a little bit of money, because you can get last year's laptop cheaper than this year's laptop, depending on what you want to do with it and the things you're going to want to plug into it. And this applies more on the music side for me than the gaming side. But with the audio interfaces, I'm sure there's a big difference between a 16-channel audio mixer that's utilizing USB 3 versus a Thunderbolt mixer.
Sure.
Especially when you're talking Thunderbolt 3 is going at 40 gigabits, and we're now at 4 and 5. So like a lot has changed in just the last year, 2 years.
Yeah. Which channel is this from?
This one is Max Tech at Max Tech Official. Another freshie. We are almost full freshies tonight.
Right. I like it.
Oh, there's a new Apple in town. I'm going to have to go back for that one after. But here he's going to cover Thunderbolt 4 versus USB 4, which, again, I heard about USB 4. It's been being developed now for a while. But as far as the specs go and the difference, a lot of this was a surprise to me.
Let's see what we got.
So we're going to see what's changing.
Intel just released some more information on their new Thunderbolt 4 standard, so if you're trying to figure out the difference between Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, and of course USB 4, this video is for you. And at the end, I'll also talk about Apple and how their new ARM-based Macs will play into this. And by the way, our new premium Apple product hoodie is incredibly soft, and you can find it in our merch shelf just below this video. The first thing to know about Thunderbolt 4 is that it uses the same exact design as it did before, so just by looking at the port, you won't be able to tell the difference between a regular USB-C port, a new USB 4 port, or a Thunderbolt 4 port, so you'll have to rely on looking up the specs of the computer or the laptop that you're buying to know for sure which port it is. Now before I get into the specs of Thunderbolt 4, let me first explain what USB-C is and how it compares to the current Thunderbolt 3. If you already know all of that, you can skip ahead to this section of the video. The USB Type-C connector is basically the solution to the flawed design of the USB-A connector, which is known for being super annoying since you have to plug something in using the correct orientation. With USB-C, it doesn't matter which way you plug it in, since the connectors are in the center, so it works every time. Now digging deeper into USB-C, there are actually different transfer speeds that are supported with really confusing names that were recently updated for the second time, and ironically, they're still confusing. There's USB 3.2 Gen 1, which supports a maximum speed of 5 gigabits per second. There's 3.2 Gen 2, which goes up to 10 gigabits per second, and there's 3.2 Gen 2x2, which goes up to 20 gigabits per second. And the only way to know the difference is to check the specs of your computer. But the great thing about USB Type-C is that it allows up to 100 watts of power to be transferred from one device to another, compared to only 7.5 watts using the old square USB Type-A connector. And that's the reason why Apple's 18-watt fast charging brick uses USB-C. Now this is where Thunderbolt 3 comes in. It uses the same Type-C connector and it supports USB-C devices, but it also supports speeds of up to 40 gigabits per second. Not only that, but it's made to support more protocols like DisplayPort by using an adapter and PCI Express for handling data transfer between computers and things like eGPUs. And because of its high 40 gigabit per second bandwidth, it's able to power high resolution displays like 2 4K displays, a single 5K display, or even Apple's 6K Pro Display XDR by using a new version of display stream compression that squeezes all of those pixels into a less than 40 gigabit per second stream. And it can even be used to daisy chain multiple monitors or devices together and ultimately end up with just one cable being plugged into your computer. But keep in mind that there are some Thunderbolt 3 cables that only support 20 gigabit per second speeds, so it's very important to buy the right cable if you want the full 40 gig speed. And one more important thing to know about Thunderbolt 3 is that it almost always requires an Intel-made Thunderbolt 3 controller chip inside of the computer or laptop to support it. So every time you see a laptop with Thunderbolt 3 ports, they had to buy that chip from Intel and integrate it into their laptop. And on the other side, a device like an SSD that supports Thunderbolt 3 also needs a controller chip certified by Intel, which obviously isn't free. So that's why you don't see very many Thunderbolt 3 devices, at least not cheap ones. And those Thunderbolt 3 controller chips that I mentioned can support up to 2 full-speed Thunderbolt 3 ports. So for example, with Apple's 16-inch MacBook Pro, which has 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, it actually uses 2 separate Intel controller chips to support them. However, with Intel's newest mobile Ice Lake processors, they're finally integrating Thunderbolt 3 into the processor itself, no longer requiring an external Thunderbolt 3 controller chip. And now with all of that out of the way, we can move on to USB 4 before we finish off with Thunderbolt 4. On March 4th of 2019, Intel released the Thunderbolt 3 specification, finally making it royalty-free to be used to form USB 4, which uses the same Type-C connector, except that it no longer requires an Intel Thunderbolt controller or Intel certification. This ultimately means that we should see USB 4 ports coming to basically every computer and laptop very soon. But the beauty of USB 4 is that it supports the same 40 gigabit per second speed as Thunderbolt 3, so you could potentially use a USB 4 port in the future to connect a 6K display. And to make it even better, USB 4 can support everything that Thunderbolt 3 supports, including DisplayPort and even PCI Express tunneling to use with an eGPU. And since it no longer requires a Thunderbolt controller chip, high-end devices like eGPUs are going to become cheaper and more widely available than ever before. But another important detail to know is that not all USB 4 ports and cables will be the same, since Intel is only requiring USB 4 cables to support a single 4K display, a minimum of 10 gigabits per second speed, and only 7.5 watts of power delivery, so be sure to buy the correct cable. But basically, USB 4 is the dream. You get support for very high 40 gigabit per second data transfer speeds and support for DisplayPort and PCI Express connections, but while being completely royalty-free and no longer requiring an Intel controller chip. Now let's finally move on to Thunderbolt 4, and the most surprising thing is that the maximum speed stays the same at up to 40 gigabits per second, but it still requires a Thunderbolt 4 controller chip and Intel certification, so it doesn't seem like a very good deal. It seems like most of the changes are oriented towards quality control. So let's take a look at a handy chart made by Intel. Starting from the top, Intel is requiring Thunderbolt 4 cables to support the full 40 gigabit per second speeds, so you no longer have to worry about buying the wrong cable on accident. Thunderbolt 4 accessories like docks can now finally have up to 4 ports. On top of that, Intel is also requiring Thunderbolt 4 cables to support 2 4K displays or one 8K display, support power delivery charging, support wake from sleep when using a Thunderbolt dock, support Intel VTD DMA protection, and support full PCI Express 32 gigabit per second transfer speeds. And that's basically it. The only real new feature is finally getting 4 Thunderbolt ports on a dock. Other than that, Intel is simply requiring every Thunderbolt 4 cable and device to support a higher standard of speeds and display support, so you won't get screwed by buying a cheap cable. And Intel also announced that their Tiger Lake line of CPUs will soon be the first to integrate Thunderbolt 4 and therefore not requiring a controller chip. But to be completely honest, all of those changes don't really matter to me or regular consumers like me, so I'm finding it hard to believe that manufacturers are gonna jump to support Thunderbolt 4 since the minimum requirements went up, making cables more expensive to produce. And now let's finally finish off with what Apple is going to do now that they're ditching Intel chips and using their ARM-based chips, which will no longer support Thunderbolt. Wait, stop, that's totally wrong. Future Vadim right here. And as we were editing the video, Apple just sent a statement to Apple Insider saying that Apple's Silicon Macs are going to continue to support Thunderbolt despite the switch to ARM. So basically, that answers the question. So there you guys have it. Hopefully you learned something new in this video, and if you did, click that circle above and check out our Apple product merch right below this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Oh, that is a slick hoodie.
Yes, indeed.
And this goes back to what I was saying, like the Firewire days, and they had the same problem in the early days of that, where if you didn't have the TI chipset, because there was a couple of companies that made Firewire cards to add to your machine, but all the music hardware, like my Yamaha mixer, only would work with the TI chipset Firewire.
Right. Very specific.
Yeah. And that is kind of a buzzkill. I'm glad that like they're at least starting to move away from that dependency, because you shouldn't have to be dependent on the chipset. Should be standard enough that like any device that's going to be Thunderbolt compatible shouldn't have to be exclusive to one chipset if there's other alternatives. Cirrus Logic at the time was making cost-efficient Firewire cards, but you wouldn't want to save the money to get one, because chances are anything you were buying, especially on the audio side, was requiring a very specific chipset.
Yeah, and as you said, that was kind of audio specific too, where I'm sure there were cases where people would, other kinds of hardware, not audio specific, wouldn't have that issue necessarily.
Yeah, and it is great to see that as far as the pipe goes, they've got a good pipe, a good amount of bandwidth going there. And I've been looking at some of these new Thunderbolt docks that have been coming out the last couple of months. They pop up in my YouTube, and some of these newer ones are so flexible. They, like you said, you can get like 4 additional ports to plug into, plus you can plug in the eGPU, which is a way of getting an external RTX card when you're dealing with a laptop and you can't cram this kind of power into that little shell, but you can buy an external card that you can hook up this way, and it's fast enough to utilize it.
And that's where you need that throughput for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be able to go out to the display port, in the case of the new ones, 2 additional. This is one of the reasons where this stuff will definitely be a big deal on your next laptops. If you are buying a new laptop and you're willing to pay the money for today's options, make sure that it's really future proof there, that it has something that's going to be able to offer that kind of expansion in the future.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you'd be buying another laptop in a couple of years.
Yeah. And laptops, they to me, laptops always had a shorter life cycle than desktop machines. Where in the tech world, in business, you would be getting rid of your laptop after every 2 years or so, getting another one. But with a desktop machine, you can get 3 or 4, maybe longer. But it depends on how quickly the operating systems go up as well. But being able to have something for a long time is important, and that's where future proofing is good.
Yeah, yeah, and Stu plays is asking us what's our take on the Valve Steam machine, which we were looking at earlier, and it better have one of these ports. Better have something that's ready for tomorrow's bandwidth if it wants to compete on the um, operating system side. On the gaming side, a lot of these things like the speed of a USB or a Thunderbolt port isn't as big of a deal for console playing. But part of the Steam machine's appeal is that it's meant to be a hybrid. It can be a desktop machine and it can be a console. So I'm hoping that Valve doesn't ignore like the importance of having ports that are fast enough to take on tomorrow's options.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that they've considered.
Yeah, and uh, again, the eGPUs gonna be a big deal going forward. Do you remember back in the USB 2 days, they started coming out with USB 2 video adapters?
I don't think I ever messed with them too much, but no.
I actually bought 2 of them. Pieces of crap, but at the time, it was the only way that I could get a 3rd monitor, because the graphic cards back then, you were lucky if you could get one that supported 2 monitors, and with my music machine, I like to have a 3rd screen, and I actually bought a couple of USB 2 video adapters. Um One wasn't too bad, but it only lasted about a year before it became obsolete. Windows 7 was coming out, and the company was not supporting, the new operating system, so it was kinda like, "Oh, geez, I can only utilize this in my older operating system," and with USB 2, unfortunately, that was not fast enough to actually make a good, external video card. With the new speeds, 6K, I mean, if it can pump out 6K HDMI or DisplayPort, now we're cooking with gas.
Oh yeah, it's come a long way.
Yeah, and we are living in a great time for expansion.
Indeed. It's
That
also important that we, standardize. That's the other thing is, let's not do the
Yeah.
whole VHS Betamax thing again. Let's get, let's focus on getting, one kind of cable and get everybody on the same kind of cables.
Well, and as he was looking at the Thunderbolt 4 and wondering, like, well, the speeds are still the same, and is it really worth making sure that you have it? I think what Intel's trying to do there is to try to that quality control and that the making sure that the standards are met in such a way that we don't have FireWire all over again. You don't want to be buying devices that support this technology. And I mean, FireWire didn't even last a decade. I bought all that crap in 2008, and by 2012, 13, that Yamaha digital mixer never got used to its full potential.
Yeah.
And I can't even I can't plug it into anything I have now. Good luck trying to get a computer with a FireWire on an operating system that's anything even close to recent.
Hmm.
So I hope they don't make that kind of mistake again. This is good hardware that should take us into the next decade.
Hmm.
I hope Intel, you're listening.
Yep.
And thank you, Max Tech, for clearing up some of my misconceptions when it came to Thunderbolt and USB-C. I'm glad that they've gotten to the point where they've at least standardized the plug, and it's no longer like doesn't matter how you plug it in, but we're still in that same complication where you got to make sure you got compatible cables.
Yep.
You want to buy hardware that's supports what you're plugging it into. So like he said, check your computer specs to see what your computer supports, and when you buy external devices, get the devices that take advantage of the proper port, because it's silly to go buy a device that supports a newer standard than the device that you're being plugged into does.
Sure. And that's again part of the whole, needing to upgrade like a laptop, for example, every few years because standards like this will change every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah, and some people end up finding out whether it works or supports, and whether you get the full benefits after they buy it and
Yeah.
plug it in, and it's like, why am I not getting the speeds, or why doesn't it even work?
Right. Then the why doesn't it even work is the worst because then is it the cable or is it not the cable? You have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I took a look at these newer Thunderbolt cables, and they're not cheap. Apple's cable is $130. So you remember I used to bitch about the cost of monster cables.
Yep.
I mean, they were worth it in some cases, especially if you're talking like video or like high-end audio. It was worth paying extra to get like solid monster cables, but I don't ever remember like something costing more than worse $60-$70, and that's for like super duper HDMI. Like
Yeah. Cables are fun.
yeah, and yeah, right now you Type C is the new standard. If you're buying a laptop, you need at least one of them in there.
Hmm.
And if you do have one in there, and it's a modern one, like the USB speeds we're seeing with 3 and 4 here, 3.2 generation, that one plug can easily break out and give you a couple of extra USB plugs, some old school USB 3 style. And you can, in the case of my adapter, it also has an HDMI out. So one little $5 adapter, I expand my USB plugs. I get 2 extra plugs, one old style, another USB-C to extend it, plus an HDMI, and that's a $5 adapter.
Nice.
So you got a lot of options nowadays if you get hardware that's at least in the last couple of years. It's no longer worth buying a laptop from 2020 unless you're like really trying to save every penny you can. I
To
don't
me,
think it's
old
worth
laptops, a laptop
saving
older
50,
than
$75 to go back that far.
yeah, to me, a laptop older than 3 years old, I wouldn't even entertain the idea. Like, not only would I not buy it, but if somebody said, "Hey, I bought this laptop," and it's like, nope, bye, have
The
fun with that.
the only way I get laptops like that is they're hand-me-downs. I do have 3 or 4 laptops sitting in here that I don't even use because they got handed down. Like my clients, my brother, my niece, they just upgraded, and like I I'm not using it anymore. And rather than throw it out, I was like, I'll just put it over on the side. It's not that I can't find a home for it. It's just not something I'm gonna use.
Exactly.
Yeah. So at Max Tech Official, awesome information there. And another freshie here from Superstar Review. Although you can't put the star in the at because that's a special character. But at Super Review is another site that, goes into the specs of the technology, does some reviews on different gear. I mean, he's got stuff on all sorts of different hardware. And in this case, what's useful about this video, I was hunting around for like a good video to explain more so like where Bluetooth is, where it's at now and what they're like cooking up. Because between Bluetooth 3 to 4 to 5, the changes were not necessarily in your face. Most people don't even know whether they're using Bluetooth 4.2 or 5. Most people don't see the benefits of the advancements there, with the exception of with Bluetooth 5, you're starting to see headphones that can pair wirelessly and be wired in. And this particular headset, I can connect my Bluetooth to this laptop and I can connect wirelessly to this desktop and have two wireless sound sources coming at me at once. Not necessarily super useful, but for some people, that can be useful. For my brother, if he's in the middle of gaming with his Corsairs, he's got his gaming audio coming from the machine. If his phone rings, hit a button, answer the call, and be talking on the phone at the same time hearing his game.
Having it, yeah. I had one at one point that would switch the audio source like that. Like if I was listening to music through the headphones and then a call came in, it would, I'd hit a button and it would switch the music off and switch into the call and then switch back when it was done.
Yeah, and with the older Bluetooth standards, it was kind of one or the other, and you couldn't multi-pair. So like with his, he can pair it to his computer and pair it to his phone, and it will actually do both at the same time.
Right.
That can be useful if you've got like my situation here. I've got 4 different machines with Bluetooth. If I really wanted to, it's like having an audio switcher, the AB switch. So let's see where Bluetooth 6 is going. What's cool about this is he actually talks to some of the Bluetooth spec developers.
All right.
So Bluetooth 6 is a thing now, and headphones like these are starting to ship with it. But that got me wondering, what exactly does Bluetooth 6 mean for us as headphone enthusiasts? Well, hey folks, I'm Mark Ryan. This is Super Review. And of course, I dug into this question. I found a bunch of articles that kind of just regurgitate Bluetooth's official spec, and I even read the entire spec for myself. But all the jargon left me still wondering, what does this actually mean? In practical terms, is Bluetooth sound quality about to get better? So I reached out to the folks at the Bluetooth SIG. They're the organization that develops new Bluetooth specs, and they agreed to hop on a call with me and answer all of my questions.
And you don't have to answer for Sony.
And in this episode of Waveguide, we're going to cover what Bluetooth 6 really means for audio enthusiasts, what it doesn't mean, and even talk about some upgrades that we can expect in an even more future version of Bluetooth. But before we get to that, a quick shout out to HiFiGo for making Waveguide videos like this one possible. HiFiGo is the best place online to pick up personal audio gear, including headphones, IEMs, audio players, and even Bluetooth things. Their goal is to make sure that customers like us are 100% satisfied. And 100% is literally everything. If you want the latest hi-fi gear at ridiculously competitive prices, check out HiFiGo, linked in the description below. But first, let's talk about Bluetooth. All right, everyone kind of knows that Bluetooth is a compromise when it comes to sound quality. When you go from wired headphones to wireless, you get more conveniences, but there are compromises. And while Bluetooth can absolutely sound very good, it's not perfect. So does Bluetooth 6 change this? Well, there's a short answer and there's a long answer, but the short answer is kind of no, not really, but it depends on what you mean by sound quality. I think for most people who understand digital audio, the answer is usually audio compression. The people want lossless compression. In your average lossless music file, it has a bitrate between 0.5 to 2.5 megabits per second, which means for every second of music, you need Bluetooth bandwidth up to 2.5 megabits to stream that file from your phone to your Bluetooth headphones without interruptions. If you have less bandwidth than that, the music needs to be compressed even more, which typically results in throwing out some of the musical information. Now, it's not usually information that's obvious to hear with your ears, but it is objectively a compromised version of the music. And this is what a lot of people assume is the bottleneck for Bluetooth sound quality. But talking with the folks at Bluetooth, I was surprised that Bluetooth for years now has supported up to 3 megabits of bandwidth. And on paper, well, that sounds like it should be enough for the 2.5 megabits required for lossless music. But here's why it's actually not enough and why Bluetooth needs more bandwidth to support most lossless music files. That max 3 megabits per second bandwidth that Bluetooth has, which has been the case since Bluetooth 2, by the way, well, it's not what you might think it is.
What you have to keep in mind is that
that's Alfredo Perez. He's from Bluetooth Special Interest Group, or Bluetooth SIG as they call it.
that is the number of bits that you can push from one end to the other. But these are all bits that part of them are dedicated to the application, like the audio use case, and part of those are also related to Bluetooth communication, overheads related to security, error checking, etc.
So there's some level of data overhead that's required just to operate Bluetooth. So immediately you can cut that 3 megabit per second limit down to about 2.4 megabits is the actual bandwidth for data streaming. And beyond that, Bluetooth audio is actually limited to a profile called A2DP. Now, you don't need to know what A2DP is exactly, but for this conversation, you should know it's limited to 1.2 megabits per second. And that's in an ideal best case scenario. In the real world, where your Bluetooth device has to compete for airspace with other wireless products, not to mention physical barriers like walls and furniture, even that 1.2 megabits per second is more of an optimistic potential than a reality. Realistically, Bluetooth audio codecs aim for much lower bit rates. It's like NBA player Luka Doncic. He could probably hit a shot from full court in ideal conditions, but it'd be pretty silly if that was how he played basketball. Most of the time, he shoots much closer to the basket for better accuracy. And in the same way, Bluetooth audio codecs don't shoot for the full 1.2 megabits per second of bandwidth because it's not 100% reliable. I don't actually watch basketball. Did I get that reference right? So to get full lossless audio streaming over Bluetooth, we actually need more than 3 megabits of bandwidth. And Bluetooth 6 doesn't change this limit. It's still 3 megabits per second. But there is hope. While talking with Alfredo, he mentioned that a future update to Bluetooth is going to boost that bandwidth cap to 7.5 megabits.
It's called internally for now high data throughput, and acronym HDT. HDT is actually going to introduce infrastructure and support to be able to increase the bit rate up to 7.5 megabits per second.
And if we assume that Bluetooth's A2DP profile gets a similar boost, well, that should make streaming lossless music over Bluetooth trivial when it comes. As of this recording, it's at least a year away. Now, all that said, I don't actually think that lossless audio is going to make the difference that a lot of people are expecting, because I don't think that the current level of Bluetooth audio compression is really a problem that you can hear in most cases. For me, a much bigger issue is Bluetooth stability, little cutouts in the connection, blips in the audio. Those are things that I can actually hear. Or even latency, like when the sound plays a half second after the lips move in a video. I notice that. And that's where some of the updates to Bluetooth 6 might actually make a difference. So let's go through them. Now, the headline feature for Bluetooth 6 is called channel sounding, but despite it having sound in the name, it actually has nothing to do with sound quality.
Channel sounding at a high level, this is introducing what's called fine ranging capabilities that allow two Bluetooth devices to estimate the distance between one another. So for audio, that doesn't do anything.
Channel sounding just lets Bluetooth devices know how far away they are from other Bluetooth devices, which maybe could be used to make something like an Apple AirTags alternative, or maybe you could use your phone to unlock a car door, but it's not going to make Bluetooth headphones sound better. Unless, I guess, you lost your headphones, in which case maybe channel sounding would let you find them and they'll sound better when you have them, but you get the point. And Bluetooth 6 also has updates to features called advertising, which are also not sound related. Advertising is basically Communication before you've paired devices. Like when you're trying to pair a new headphone, the headphone advertises, hey, I'm a headphone looking to find a pair. My name is Sony XM6 and I like long walks on the beach. That's advertising. And yeah, these updates also will not make headphones sound better. But what might actually make a difference in sound quality are updates that are called, and I quote, asynchronous adaptation layer enhancement and frame space update. Now, you don't need to know exactly how they work because I certainly don't, but they are designed to improve stability of a Bluetooth signal and reduce latency, which, while maybe not the kind of sound quality improvement you might have been hoping for, I think are actually going to make a difference that you can hear. So I don't know, was that anticlimactic? Bluetooth 6 isn't going to bring us lossless high-res audio over Bluetooth. And personally, I mean, I think it'd be nice, but I'm okay with that. Improvements to stability and latency, they make sense to me as a higher level priority. And it's not like we're never going to get lossless audio. We're just going to have to look forward to the next big update to Bluetooth. Big thanks to Alfredo at the Bluetooth SIG for taking the time to help me make sense of all of this, and thanks again to HiFiGo for making this video possible. HiFiGo is actually selling Bluetooth 6 devices already, so if you want to take the plunge, I've got them linked in the description down below. And while you're down there, if you haven't already, well, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ding the YouTube bell, and join me on Discord, also linked in the description, and I'll catch you in the next super review. Cheers.
Join with the force of reviews. We now have the tools to brave the misleading world of audio fools. Hey, this review is super, and so are you. Grab your headphones, sniff a graph, and share your thoughts in this pursuit. Let's get into the pitch. Take a look, just see how we're visiting. Yeah, we're up for feeling rich. You say, okay, this review is super.
That review was super.
Extra super.
Oh, and Maha mentioned another technology by Sony, the LDAC, that has the potential for the best sound quality and has higher data rates, but being limited to Android devices. I mean, the beauty of Bluetooth is not so much in what we've gotten out of it or the performance, but as far as the standard goes, it really got adopted right from the beginning, universally. When it came out, there was this kind of saying, I think it was on Big Bang. Sheldon said, but it has Bluetooth and everything should have Bluetooth. And, we've kind of come to that mentality when it comes to like this wireless personal network that Bluetooth is. Unfortunately, what you get out of it has never completely lived up to the potential that we hope it would. Like, audio still, you hear the compression. It's nice that you can get Bluetooth speakers and you don't have to run wires around your living room like you used to. And as long as you're not worried so much about like timing and latency, which sometimes when you're watching a movie and you're using Bluetooth speakers and all of a sudden the lips aren't synchronized on the screen to the audio that you're hearing in your Bluetooth, that's why sometimes the technology, gets a bad rap in those cases.
Super review.
And it, in the case of like musicians who would like to utilize Bluetooth, whether it's for a controller or for wireless headphones, I don't even think Bluetooth 6 is gonna live up to that expectations. We will still be waiting 6.1, 6.2.
Yep. Depends
The
when, it also depends on what the bottleneck is or why, why the limit is where it is right now. Like if the limit is 3, there's a reason that it's at 3, and just raising it to 20 or something, it sounds good, but is it something that there's a technological reason why they can't do?
yeah, I think there are some obstacles that prevent them from being able to make it as fast as they want. And for what it was initially created for, it has managed to serve that purpose. Many people walk around with Bluetooth headsets paired to their phones and make phone calls and listen to music with it, and they're happy in general with as long as they get some good ones. If you get cheap Bluetooth equipment, then the old adage, you get what you pay for.
Yep.
And you need to make sure, just like with the USB, that you have the right device that takes advantage of what it's pairing to. Because your phone's stuck on Bluetooth 4.2 and you go buying those cool Bluetooth 5 earbuds, well, it's only going to go as good as 4.2 did.
Which would probably still sound pretty good.
If you're talking like microphone and hearing and the quality of the call, sometimes the people on the other end would beg to differ.
True. I never liked phone calls in the first place, so I don't have to worry about it.
Well, you can always make the excuse that my Bluetooth headset sounds like shit, so don't call me.
Well, people know not to call me. My phone rings, there's a problem.
I don't even have one. So I'm even more strict than you when it comes to that. So at Super Review, awesome review there. Another freshie added to our list of tech.
Excellent.
And for the last piece of technology, which is also wireless, but we've seen much more evolution with this wireless than we have with Bluetooth. And we are really starting to hit some sweet spots when it comes to Wi-Fi. A lot of people are still on Wi-Fi 5, or they're still using network adapters tied to Wi-Fi 5. But Wi-Fi 6 over the last couple of years really started to open up um, faster speeds, and Wi-Fi 7 is getting really interesting. I mean, it's still kind of young. Y- your new phone's gonna start incorporating this technology, and if you are buying a new phone, you should actually check to see whether like it's capable of connecting here, because there's a good chance in the future, if you upgrade your wireless like we did last night, you're going to want your devices to be able to connect at these new speeds. It's a significant jump.
Yep. Got to stay on top of them when they come out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when you're talking early adapting, the perils and pitfalls that can come with that. And yay, I've got a Wi-Fi 7 router now. I don't have a laptop with a Wi-Fi 7 adapter. I could always get a USB adapter and see if that actually improves anything. But going forward with the way people upgrade phones, on a regular basis, I could see a time in the next couple of years where some of these devices will start to take advantage of this bandwidth that we have that we can't actually use.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to what was available when they made the standards, and they tried to future-proof it as best they could, but they can only future-proof for so long.
Yeah. Well, you remember in the early days of Wi-Fi when did you do the jump from B to E or to G? I mean,
I never liked wireless in the first place. I hated laptops. Like in
uh,
my
yeah,
home
but
scenario, I will
in
never
your
use laptops.
field,
But in the
in
field, I
your
had to use them
field,
at
if
work.
you were using a laptop and going to work, like laptop was always a secondary computer, especially going to work. whether your laptop was connecting to a B network or a G network, that was a big deal to make sure that like you and if your equipment was stuck on that slower Wi-Fi, you would end up buying a USB adapter just because it was pathetically slow.
And that's the thing is to me, again, being a gamer, as long as I've been, using a wireless connection was never something I looked at seriously for anything, for me. And when it came to anything in my house, like, when you have your wireless headphones so you can go outside. I mean, I can't get more than 6 feet away from my computer in my house. So
Yeah.
like my head, I have a wire, but I don't care because, I don't ever have to worry about batteries. I don't ever have to worry about signal. I don't ever have to worry about so many different things that you have to worry about with wireless stuff. So it's just, to me, just wired is very easy. It's right there. It's done. And I never have to worry about it. But I do remember having to deal with a bunch of wireless stuff back in those days. And it was
You've
usually stuff with router positioning and things like that when it came to problems with people and their connections.
Yeah, you've never accidentally pulled out your wired
No.
headphones from the computer.
Nope. And I mean, I can literally go lie down in bed wearing these headphones, still plugged into the same computer because the computer is basically halfway between here and where I sleep.
Yeah, yeah. Just don't run over your cable with your chair too much.
That's the big one, yes. And that's why it's actually the spiral cable, so it's harder
Yeah,
to run over. So that's always helpful.
yeah, yeah. Well, and when I was doing wired headphones, I always got an extension cable
Mhm.
and really didn't care if my headphone had a long cable. I
Yep.
rather have an extension cable that, oops, if I screwed that up, it's cheaper to replace
Mhm. And
and
that's
I
what I've done
can
for a
I
while
can
here
get
too.
it in like 20 feet version.
And I did that at one point here. But if I wanted to wear these headphones to go make coffee all the way over there, then I need the extension cable. So that's what I did at one point. But that would be what I would always run over then. So I would run over the extension cable and then it would start like, oh, now I can only sometimes hear out of this ear. And then I have to like, move the cable around. Oh, now it's back. It's like, yeah, that's annoying as anything. So as soon as the cable starts going bad like that, it's gone because I don't want to deal with intermittent stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I can say when it comes to this Wi-Fi, at least the last couple of generations on the gaming side, because my brother's a hardcore gamer and
Mhm.
latency and connection for him is absolute priority.
Yeah.
Between the Wi-Fi 6 Axe router that we replaced last night with
Mhm.
this Wi-Fi 7, he doesn't actually wire in. He hasn't for since we moved here, which I was surprised. I'm like, he sits right next to the router. Like he doesn't even need a long wired cable
Mhm.
to go directly into it. And um, he, strangely enough, gets better speed connecting with his Wi-Fi directly to the Starlink
Mhm.
than going into the wired router that has to connect to the Starlink through wireless anyway. So
Right.
he's actually in pretty good shape with this Wi-Fi 7 now.
Mhm.
His ping times almost look like cable modem ping times.
Nice.
So for this last video, we're getting it from the Ultimate Tech Hub. At Ultimate Tech Hub, I was like, yes, this is
Mhm.
definitely
That works.
a perfect channel for us because Ultimate Tech Hub is where I want to hang. And
Mhm.
looking at like the things he's reviewing here, I've gone through all of these conversations,
Nice.
especially on the VPN stuff.
Mhm.
And with this one, uh, I chose this one over another Wi-Fi 7 explanation because not only does he cover like the benefits that you do get with Wi-Fi 7, because there are some,
Mhm.
but he's very realistic about don't be thinking that like that $500 router you just bought with Wi-Fi 7 is going to make a drastic change in your current situation because it takes multiple things to happen
Mhm.
to make these benefits actually happen. You know, like these kinds of protocol changes and this kind of technology takes more than just getting a new router. It takes
Mhm.
device support, In some cases, the operating system might need to actually figure out its ass from its elbow to support it. So far, everything does look good with this new router we have. I did see significant upload changes. My download speeds no different than the Wi-Fi 6 AX protocol.
Right.
But hey, it's a start.
An improvement.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi 7 has a major problem. Actually, 3 major problems. But spoiler alert, it's not Wi-Fi 7's fault. So stick around, this is gonna be good. Wireless technology has come a long way in the last 6 or 7 years. And we've gone from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 6E to Wi-Fi 7. And yes, Wi-Fi 8 is coming soon. But while all these new technologies sound great, there is a major problem with Wi-Fi 7. So we're going to discuss those problems and the solutions. Wi-Fi 7, also known as IEEE 802.11be, is the newest wireless standard. Wi-Fi 7's key features are 46 gigabits per second theoretical data rates, 320 megahertz channel bandwidths, 4096 QAM, and MLO, multi-link operation. And Wi-Fi 7 supports tri-band operation using the 2.4, the 5, and the 6 gigahertz bands. It also utilizes advanced technologies like OFDMA and MU-MIMO to optimize performance. And all these specifications sound great, but there are some major problems here. You see, Wi-Fi 7 and Wi-Fi 6E share one common feature, and that's the 6 gigahertz band. This band has higher speeds and lower latency than the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz bands. And on paper, this does sound great, but in reality, there are 3 major problems with this new band. The first problem is probably the biggest issue, and that's connecting to this new band. What these router companies will not tell you is that most, if not all, your devices will not connect to the faster band. If your smartphones, TVs, laptops, tablets, gaming consoles, and IoT devices are over 3 years old, then you will not be able to connect to this band. And that's because these devices need a wireless card, which requires a specialized chipset and other hardware components that are different from those used in older Wi-Fi standards, like Wi-Fi 6. So if you think a software update or a firmware update is all you need, well, that won't work. This is a hardware issue. And to make matters worse, if you don't have this Wi-Fi chipset in your device, you won't even be able to see the SSID in the network connection list. Yikes. So what's the solution to this problem? Well, you'll have to buy all new devices that support Wi-Fi 7. But here is another problem. Only the newer smartphones, laptops, and PS5s are compatible with Wi-Fi 7. TVs, tablets, streaming boxes, and IoT devices are not yet available with the new Wi-Fi 7 chipset. However, some of these devices can connect to the 6 gigahertz band, but only have Wi-Fi 6E capabilities, which means slower speeds and higher latency. Just so you understand, Wi-Fi 7 and Wi-Fi 6E are not the same. They both share the same 6 gigahertz band, but Wi-Fi 7 can achieve speeds up to 46 gigabits per second, and Wi-Fi 6E maxes out at 9.6 gigabits per second, which is a huge difference. But here is the second problem with Wi-Fi 7, and that's the range of the 6 gigahertz band. Even if you are able to connect to the brand new 6 gigahertz band, you'll need to be very close to the router. In my testing, I found 50 feet to be the max distance, and that's with direct line of sight to the router, which means no walls. Just to be clear, this new band does not go through floors or walls without suffering major interference or complete signal loss. So what's the solution? Make sure your router is in the middle of the home and stay close to it with a direct line of sight. However, this is probably not feasible for most homes, and it all depends upon your network setup. And that brings us to the third problem of Wi-Fi 7. And we're talking about speeds. 46 gigabits per second is a huge number, but that's only theoretical. You see, most households only have 1 gig speeds or less. And I would say most homes are way less than that. Most likely 500 megabits per second or less. But here's the most interesting numbers when it comes to speed. Let's talk about the band speeds. The 2.4 gigahertz band has a max speed of 100 megabits per second. The 5 gigahertz band has max speeds of 1 gig, and the 6 gigahertz band has a max speed of 2 gigs. So if you have a Wi-Fi 7 laptop connected to a Wi-Fi 7 router at close range, and you're connected to the 6 gigahertz band, you will only get your max ISP speeds of 1 gig or less, unless you have a multi-gig plan, which most people don't have. So what's the solution? Upgrade your ISP plan to a multi-gig plan like 2 gig or 3 gig. However, that's not usually an option, and that can be rather expensive. So what's the bottom line? If you have no plans on upgrading your devices or your ISP plan to a multi-gig plan, then you should avoid buying a Wi-Fi 7 or even a Wi-Fi 6E router because it won't make any difference. However, if you plan on buying new devices and upgrading your ISP plan to a multi-gig plan, then buying a Wi-Fi 7 or Wi-Fi 6E router makes sense. Because in my opinion, it's always good to future-proof your home network. Wi-Fi 7 technology is amazing, but our ISP plans and devices have not caught up with it yet. If you want the easiest and most cost-effective solution, then buy a Wi-Fi 6 router and call it a day. Forget about the 6 GHz band for now. But there is a bit of good news, and that's the latency improvements of Wi-Fi 7. If you're a gamer or you stream 4K or 8K, then Wi-Fi 7 will minimize your latency. However, if you're really serious about gaming or streaming 4K, then you should use a wired connection. Wired is faster, more secure, and more reliable. Just saying. Wi-Fi 7 is amazing, but the world isn't quite ready for it yet. I'm Michael Scott. Thanks for watching.
Oh, again, I get smacked in the face.
Just like that. Yeah, and serious gamers wired connections. I mean, that's just something that's always been, and I know that there will be a time when that will change, but for me, it just makes no sense to go off of a wired connection.
Yeah, I agree with Michael that, if you are hardcore, the wired has always been like even though my router is upstairs, I have a long ass cable going down to my switches down here.
Yep.
Because the majority of the machines here, there's only one of them that I will occasionally connect to the Starlink to check whether there's a problem with the router.
Yeah. Which is good to have that option. So yeah.
Yeah. And there is difference in speed for me, like going wirelessly.
Yeah. So yeah,
But
another tech night where we go heavy on the tech side.
yeah, and again, fair, honest assessment, not trying to pitch anything, just kind of giving the facts. And right now, considering the price difference, some of these Wi-Fi 7 routers, they're $300 to $500, and these 6-ax technology, you can get them now around 100, 125. So why spend 3 times as much for something that you really can't take advantage of right now?
Yeah, unless again you're future proofing for you're buying it now, planning for the next few years or what have you.
Which is why we did do it. Part of it was future proofing. The other aspect of it was the mesh networking. Getting the mesh network was actually the biggest upgrade that I got with this, because the 2 satellites we now have spread around the house, 6,000 feet of coverage all around the house. So, and the nice thing with the mesh is I'm not dealing with the extenders that I used to, where we had Dumont Home, we had Dumont Home extension 2.4, 2.5, and then extension 2, and 2 of those. The mesh network, it's just one network, and wherever you are, it connects to the closest satellite and utilizes the same speed. So it's simplified a lot here.
Nice. Good solution.
Yeah. And his biggest point there, for most people, it is going to be about phones and smart TVs. When it comes to the things that actually do need wireless in this house, it's the phones and the televisions most of all. And if they're not supporting it yet, then till we buy another TV that does, it really isn't a big deal.
Exactly.
Great advice, Mike, at Ultimate Tech Hub.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Good stuff all around.
That was highly educational for me. A few things that I kind of knew about, but really did need to square away. The USB stuff
Yeah, yeah.
is much clearer to me now, and whether I will buy a PlayStation, given what he just said, that it does actually support Wi-Fi 7 already with the 5s. I hope that Valve is paying attention to that kind of feature with their Steam box. Otherwise, they're already going to be locking themselves into back older technology if they don't take care of that.
Sure. Yeah, we didn't look too close into the specs on what the networking would be like on the Steam box, but I assume it would just be standard.
Yeah, a lot of the information out there goes into the CPU and the RAM. They don't really talk about any of that. So I'm going to have to do some more hunting, because if it does come out at 450, I wouldn't be surprised if Rick ends up grabbing one, just because I know he's itching to like get back into console mode upstairs.
Sure. Well, he's got a lot of game options now, though, for sure.
Yeah. Well, he's happy with his gaming PC, but he's got his like man pad upstairs, and like they said in one of the videos, a lot of gamers are finding it cool to be able to get away from the PC and play wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta love it with the games.
We filled our brains with a lot of IT tonight. Next week we're going to be going into Thanksgiving, so I think we'll be taking a look back at some of the cool stuff we looked at this year, because we did look at some very cool things.
Absolutely. Gobble gobble, everybody.
Yep. And Sunday we should have a new show popping in. I think they're still cooking it up. And then Monday we'll be back with Motivational Mondays with Wally G.
Nice. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you then.
Talking shh.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear, and MIDI too. How to arrange, compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac, and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much RAM. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking